So it takes about 90 days to establish a new habit permanently into your life. That is 3 months between the type of person that you want to be and who you are right now. But before you can do that, you need a concrete plan. So that's what this video is about. In it, I'm going to share a guide that I developed on how to become the best version of yourself in these next 3 months and completely reinvent who you are. So let's jump into it. So what I'm talking about is making noticeable tweaks to your life to align it more with the vision of yourself that you want to be. It's about adding different pieces to make yourself better overall. It's something really important to continually do in your life in order to grow as a person. Because in a world that is changing as fast as this one, if you're standing still, you're going to be left behind. Now to start, it's worth asking yourself why you want to change in the first place. And you want to make sure that reason is a strong one. This is so important because if you don't have a good reason, you're likely going to fall off of your goals. For a long time in life, I would latch on to different ideas or try to achieve different goals because I thought they were cool and trendy. And in those situations, I almost always ended up dropping that goal really quickly. One example of that is me trying to learn playing the guitar. Now that's not to say something like learning the guitar is a bad goal, it's just that I didn't have a good reason for wanting to know it. So let's focus on that. At the end of the next 90 days, what is the type of person that you want to be? And it's totally fine if it takes you a while to get to this answer. This is a long process and takes a lot of reflection. And even once you set a direction and start exploring it, it's completely fine to change directions later on. That's literally just life. It's all about change. But just remember to be fairly realistic. In 90 days, you can't make every single change that you want to make in your life. So for this direction, just focus on 1 to 3 attributes that the future you is going to embody. To give you inspiration, here's who I plan to be in the next 90 days. I want to be someone who is more physically fit, more personally productive, and who lives life more intentionally. I'll also be putting some additional prompts on the screen now that can help you get to that direction a bit quicker. And when you do get to your sense of direction, feel free to post it in the comments. I would love to have a community down there of people who are sharing their goals and helping each other achieve them. Alright, so assuming you have your direction, now it's time to make it a bit more actionable. Here we'll be outlining individual objectives that together will push you further and further along to your direction. So I'll give you an example from my direction. In my 90-day direction, I have a part that emphasizes physical fitness. So to make an objective out of that, I just focused on that statement and landed on the objective of I want to exercise more, because that pushes me in the direction of being more fit. So make those objectives for each part of your direction. And if your direction has less parts than mine, feel free to double up on certain areas. But again, it's so important not to overdo it. I recommend that you don't do more than 3 objectives at the same time in the same 90-day period. That's because any more than 3 and it could be difficult to track and you could become overwhelmed. There have definitely been moments in my life when I tried to commit to 7 or 8 habits and goals at the same time. The problem is it had the complete opposite effect. It was too much change in too short a time and I just got overwhelmed and burnt out pretty quickly. In the end, I ended up achieving none of those goals. At the end of the day, if you achieve only one of your objectives, it's still going to be way more improvement than you would have had if you didn't try at all. Remember, we're seeking progress, not perfection here. Okay, so now that we have those objectives, we can turn them into straightforward plans that we can consistently work towards. For this, I tend to set plans that are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. In other words, they're smart. Now, the SMART framework is a structured way of goal setting that has been proven to increase the odds of someone succeeding their goals. It's actually something that a lot of businesses and companies use to help align their business goals, but it can definitely be used in the personal life too. It's something that I learned in school as a business major, so I thought I'd flex that knowledge here. If you want to learn all about SMART goals, I have a whole other video where I talk about it here. But for now, I'm going to just give you some examples so you can get the gist. So for example, if we're using my objective of exercising more, a SMART goal might look something like this. I will exercise by either doing home workouts or going to the gym for 5 minutes every day for the next 90 days. A plan like that tells you exactly what the goal is and is much more likely to be achieved. But you might be wondering why this goal is so tiny. How is it that I expect 5 minutes of exercise every day to reinvent my life? Well, you see, I don't. The reason that this task is so small is because I'm trying to trick my brain. This is something that I picked up from reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you make it really tiny and not a big deal to do, you're less likely to have something in the way of you starting to do that thing. And because you can easily do it every day, it allows you to continually build the habit. And most of the time, you end up doing way more than that tiny task. Pretty recently, I went on a run to hit my 5 minutes of exercise a day. And I just gotten to the end of that 5 minutes, but something interesting happened. Since I was out there and my heart was pumping, I was sweating, I had my gym clothes on already, it just made more sense for me to continue working out than to just go back home. In the end, I ended up running for about 20 minutes. You see, that is the power of a tiny task. And this principle really works on any habit you're trying to perform. So keep that in mind. So now you have a lot of nice and smart plans, but that's only the first step. To improve your chances of success even further, you need to not only change things on paper, but also in the real world. What that means is you should take real steps to eliminate the barriers between you and the habit that you're trying to do every day. Now, what you actually end up changing and doing is very dependent on the type of task you're trying to do. But the most important thing to keep in mind is on your worst days, on the days that you aren't feeling motivated, what is the excuse that you bring up to stop you from doing that habit? Whatever it is, you want to pinpoint that feeling and try to address it. Now, for me with the exercising, something that used to get in my way is that it was pretty inconvenient to get ready in order to go on the exercise. My room was just set up in a way that getting the clothes and getting my equipment out, it was just a hassle. And a lot of the time that became a reason why I didn't want to exercise. Since then, I've taken steps to make that process a lot easier. Now I always have some shoes with some socks in it by my bedroom door or nearby so that it's easy to just put them on and get out. So it's things like that. It's things that are small but make doing the task a little more comfortable and just help you get into it a lot easier. Now, another thing is lasting commitments. Making sizable commitments has a massive ripple effect down the line too, because although you do them in one instance, they stick with you throughout. So a great example of a lasting commitment is paying for a 3-month gym membership up front. Now you've made that commitment and you've sacrificed your hard-earned money for it already. You're gonna try to go to the gym more and more often in order to get back that investment and to make it worth it. But at the end of the day, despite all this planning, you need to actually do the thing that you said you would do. There's no amount of theory and strategizing that is going to make up for that fact. You have to put in the hard work. And on some days throughout the next 90 days, it's going to be pretty hard. But in those moments, I want you to remember that 1, it gets easier as time goes on. If you stick to your goal and you continue doing it, you'll be surprised at how easily you do things on day 30 or day 40 that you struggled so hard to do on day 1 or 2. And the second thing you should keep in mind is that vision of yourself that you outlined at the start of the 90 days. Although it might be tough, although it might be boring or inconvenient, these are things that you said you'd do, and they're going to transform you into the person that you want to be. So keep that image in your mind and keep your head up, because I, for one, believe in you. I am also using this guide in my own life, and if you want to see exactly how I plan to do so, you can click this video right here. And to make sure you're as prepared as possible, here's another video that's going to increase your odds of success while you try to achieve your goals. As always, my name is Isaiah, and I hope that you keep improving. Take care.